Just want to get started here. So today I'm going to just do the introductions. I have the easy job. As you know, I'm the CEO of Caron Business Solutions and the owner. And today we're going to be joined by Leanne Lowe. Leanne is a partner sales engineer with Sage. And in her role, she works with partners just like us to present solutions including Sage 300, Sage CRM, Sage Intelligence, Sage Budgeting Planning. She's a very busy person. So today, really the purpose of the session is to show you features that you already own, features that are available to you in Sage 300 that you may not be aware of because over the years, the software has changed a lot, improvements have come, and we don't necessarily take advantage of them. So I want to just talk a little bit about Caron and our relationship with Sage. And so we are a local firm here in Burnaby and in Kelowna, BC. We also have an office in South America, in Peru. But we are really part of an international organization because we're supported by Sage. So certainly in North America and in South America, we work directly with Sage. And Leanne's involvement here is a good example of the support that we get with Sage. For Sage 300, we are very well supported, as are you, because the product was developed right here in Vancouver about 30 years ago and still supported directly in Richmond. We also work with X3, which is a product developed in France, and that's where the bottom block there of Sage International comes in because we're supported not only in North America, South America, but also in Europe for that product. And for Sage CRM, again, international, that was developed in Ireland, but the support is in Canada. Matter of fact, the top support person for Sage CRM in Vancouver is an ex-employee of Caron's. So we are very well supported and part of a larger organization, and it all fits together nicely. So just the agenda for today, I'm just going to spend a little bit of time just helping you deal with some naming issues that Sage has changed the name a few times. I just want to explain a few things about that. And then I'm going to turn it over to Leanne, who's going to go over some key features of Sage 300, and then talk about also during her presentation, she'll talk about Sage CRM, which I think is one of the most underutilized pieces of software that's available to you, and Sage Intelligence for reporting. And if we have time, we're going to talk a little bit about what you do if you just, at the end of it, you use all the features of Sage 300 and it's not quite enough. You know what you need to move to next. So what's in the name? Sage 300 versus Sage 300 Cloud. For those of you that have used it for a while, you've also gone through this period where it's called Sage 300C. The bottom line is Sage 300 is a locally deployed software application. The cloud part of that is that Sage is taking full advantage of cloud applications, and all future development is oriented that way. So we're taking advantage of the fact that a lot of services can be offered in a cloud method with local control of your accounting and your program. So it works very, very well. What's the same is, Sage 300, Sage 300 Cloud, the core modules are available in both of these iterations of Sage 300, Sage Intelligence, credit card processing, optional fields, all available in both. But what's different? A couple of things. With Sage 300, you could buy it and pay annual maintenance, and some of you are doing that. You could also purchase it on subscription. Well, with Sage 300 Cloud, it's subscription only. Sage Budgeting and Planning and Sage Inventory Advisor are a couple of examples of applications that are available for free under Sage 300 Cloud, but you pay for under Sage 300. And going into the future, more and more development will be done on Sage 300 Cloud. That's the future for Sage as they develop the product more to take advantage of the fact that there are cloud-enabled applications available. So you're going to start to see third-party applications being developed that way. One of the things that Leanne's going to show you today with bank feeds is definitely using a cloud product. So I just wanted to mention to you that really it's more than just a name, But most of us are currently on Sage 300 Cloud, and most of you will move that way in the future, and that's where the development's going to be. If you have any questions on that, please, at the end of the session, we'll have some questions. You also have the chat, and you could always get a hold of me at any time. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Leanne.
Thank you, Paul. So as Paul was saying, my name is Leanne, and what I'd like to cover is the new features that we've added in Sage 300. So most of the new features that we added cover both Sage 300 Cloud as well as the Sage 300. So just be aware that the features that I'll be showing, a lot of them will be available for both. There's a couple that are just pertinent to the Sage 300 Cloud, or you'll have to be on the subscription, such as the bank feeds. And so what I thought we'd cover is the web screen. So we're going to take a look at what the web screens look like. If you haven't seen the new web screens, they're basically a navigation interface for Sage 300. So we've added new features such as the ability to assign a company color. Now this capability was available in the classic window for Sage 300. However, we've made it available now in the web screens. And then we've also modified Sage CRM. So now you can go into Sage CRM and enter an order or a quote and see Sage 300 information from within CRM, because you have that synchronization there with Sage 300 and Sage CRM. Now you can see customer information, make edits to customer information in one, and it updates the other. So we're going to actually see a demo of bank feeds. I have a recording that we'll be able to take a look at, where you actually see the transactions come in from a Canadian bank into the bank reconciliation module. We'll go into GL integration, the multiple contacts module, and the global search and notes. Now, the global search and notes are available for both the Sage 300 web screens as well as the classic. It's something that we've added in the 2019 version, but since it's always worth revisiting, if you're not currently using that feature, you can turn that on. One thing to note with the web screens, though, is that in the web screens, you can log into the web screens from any browser. So you can go in from Google Chrome or Safari or Internet Explorer. So we're going to take a look at what these look like. The web screens were designed to be a navigation tool, so you don't have to log into one or the other as a user. You can choose to actually log into both if you wanted to. It doesn't take up a LAN pack when you log in, so we're going to actually take a look at what you'll see when you log into the web screens, how simple it is to kind of navigate around there and go into the windows that you use the most often. The functionality and the modules are essentially the same between the web screens and the Sage 300 Classic view. So the main modules, and then we'll take a look at the Sage 300 integration. So I'm going to switch over to and take a look and log into the web screens here. So I'm going to go into one of my companies here for the web screens. And what you're seeing here is the login window. So when I pull up Google Chrome or Internet Explorer, I can put in my username and I can select my company. And what's nice about this is that you can actually open up a company in each browser window. So you can have 3 or more companies if you wanted to open up in different browser tabs, and then toggle from one company to another. And since each company will be color coded, so when you log in, it'll have you can assign a color. So this color right here for company B is green, and then this color here when I log into this company will have a banner, and that banner stays. So no matter what screen you're logged into, you see the color coded banner up at the top. So in this company, it's blue at the top. And what you see first thing when you log into here is what we call our desktop here. And this is going to show you some top KPIs like your top sales people, your inventory item performance. These widgets is what we call them, can be modified, so you can add widgets. You can move them around. So if there's some that you don't use, let's say you're not tracking inventory, you can just unclick that and add something like your top vendors. So it's easy to mix and match. And then to navigate within here, if I wanted to go into order entry, say, we have these buttons on the left-hand side. So I can go into and open up order entry transactions and pull up my order entry window. And the web screens are available on mobile devices such as tablets. So if I were to open this up on an iPad, it would look exactly the same, whether it was on an iPad or a desktop computer. So I can go into order entry here and I can do a lookup, and it's in real time. So when you enter an order and you accept it, whether it's an AP invoice or whether it's a regular order, when you accept it, it immediately goes into and updates your Sage 300 database. So you're connected through a browser. However, you're going to want to open this up with security such as SSL or VPN security on a tablet, but you will be behind your firewall. So there is security involved when you're accessing the web screens here. I can go in and pull up an order and see information for any customer's order that I have on file. You can scroll over to the orders if I go, or quotes for that matter. So I have some quotes on file, and then I have some orders, and I'm just going to pull up an order here so that you can see that. So here is one of the orders, and you can do lookups here. So just like in the classic window, it shows your quantity on hand for sales orders and purchase orders when you're in the order entry. One of the things that we've added to both the web screens and the classic, and I'll show you this in both, is the ability to do global searches. So there's this search icon up at the top here. So if I want to search by, let's say, a customer number or just the partial name of a vendor, I can just put CLOR for chloride, and it will pull up every invoice and item number that has the partial word CLOR on it, because it's doing a global search across modules. It's for this individual company, but it is across modules. So this global search is available for both the web screens and the classic entry. Now we've added a couple more things in both the classic and the web screen, such as extended comments and orders, and the ability to see bill of material numbers on the order screen, so you can see the BOM numbers on the order details. What's nice about this is I can go from one company and switch to another company here. So now I'm in company B, and then I can go to a third company. So I've got company C, and I've also got company A here. And each one of these companies are opened in a separate browser window, and you can see that they are color coordinated. So this company has a green banner, this one has purple. So I can assign that color banner, and when I'm opening up a window, you'll still see that color. So if I go to AP transactions and go to my invoice entry, it still remains there. So this will help with data entry, so you're not entering your data, and it helps you avoid data entry errors. So you're not accidentally entering your transactions in the wrong company code. So this allows you to assign a unique color to the company that you're in. And then we've added the ability to see these web screens in Sage CRM. So Sage CRM is a full CRM program that you can access, and you get a free license of it with Sage 300. So we're gonna take a look at this as well. I'm gonna go into my company here. I'm gonna pull this off here, and we're gonna just log in to Sage CRM. So Sage CRM, when you access it for the very first time, this is a full customer relationship management. It is a very powerful tool because it allows you to track all of your sales for each one of your customers. It integrates with Sage 300. So when the user logs in, they'll see their accounts in their territory, or the accounts and customers that they're assigned to. And the first thing they see is a dashboard that shows their company information. You can personalize this and make it very simple. They can track all of their opportunities. Every Sage 300 user, whether you're on cloud or the standard version, you get a free license of the Sage CRM. Because of that synchronization, you can go into Sage 300 and you can pull up a customer here. So if I click on the company name here, I can pull up the customer and then see things like the orders and quotes for that particular customer. And since it's synchronized, you'll be able to, again, make any changes in one, and it will update to Sage 300. And I'm going to just let this update here. And what I wanted to do is just go into the web screen. So hold on for a second. I'm going to log back out and log back in, since I had been logging in since I had logged in for a while there. So while it's logging me back in, I should say, I want to mention a few things about Sage CRM. So you can track not just your sales, but you can track your marketing as well as your customer service issues. So any customer cases can be tracked in Sage CRM. You can integrate the marketing with MailChimp or SwiftPage, so you can set up marketing campaigns and track the sales and track all of your leads. And it's not just Sage 300 customers that are synchronized. You can also create companies in CRM that don't exist within Sage 300, so you can track all your notes and communications for your customers or your prospects. And then you can even enter quotes for prospects from within CRM. One of the things that's very nice about this is that you can see past purchase history information from the CRM site. So let's say that you wanted to see what the customer purchased in the past. You don't have to log into Sage 300 to see that. You can actually log into CRM. So your salespeople don't actually have to be in Sage 300 to do things like enter orders or see customer information. So if I go, I'm going to pull up a company that exists both on the Sage 300 side. I'm just going to pull up an opportunity here. And on the two opportunities here, you can track your notes and your details. You can also track orders up on the upper right-hand side. So if I pull up the orders here, I can click on new order, and what it pulls up is the web screen. So the same web screens that you saw earlier when I pulled up the web screens, you can see that directly here within Sage CRM. So I can go in and put in a new line item here for this particular customer, so I can add it as a quote or an order, and I can see things like my inventory right here. So if I want to put an inventory item there, I can. One of the things that's very helpful is that I can go in and click on history and see all the past purchase history for this particular company and customer. And so these are all the items that the customer purchased. You can see the sale amount, the quantity sold, so you know it was priced for this customer. So one of the another thing that you can do when you're in here, and let's say I'm at a company record, so you can put in quotes and orders within here, but you can also go in and click, if you click on customer over on the right hand side, I can actually see customer detail that I normally, again, have to log into Sage 300 to see. So things like your over 90 days, 60 days. So if I go into processing here, you can see your you can see what was put as far as the credit limit. I can see my activity here. So what was the statistics, the high balance. I can also see credit information. So down here, I can see aging information as of a particular date. So I can apply it. And in this case, I can see that this company has $320 past 90 days. This is all available within CRM. So again, your salespeople do not have to be logged in to Sage 300 to see very crucial customer details for their accounts. They can see things such as their invoices, they can see what's past due, they can see their credit limit, as well as enter orders and quotes. And again, that synchronization is there, and it's very tight integration between Sage CRM and Sage 300. But again, what we added in the new version is the ability to bring in the web screens into Sage CRM and see that information. You'll also be able to see every order that was placed within Sage 300. If I click on this tab here, OE Inquiry, on the upper right-hand side, you can see all the orders that were placed, and I can drill into the order. So it doesn't matter if the order was placed in Sage 300 or within the CRM side. I can drill into that order and see the details on the order, and the entry and the window that you see here is the same window you see in the web screens. So again, the web screens are just an alternate way of navigating within Sage 300. We have all of the financial modules as well as the distribution, the OMS suite, such as inventory, IC, order entry, purchase order. We are working on getting the payroll and the PJC modules in there, but we have all of the financial as well as distribution. So that's the web screens in a nutshell, as well as Sage CRM. There's a lot more functionality to that. If you want to see it again in more detail, feel free to follow up with Caron and Paul, and he can arrange a more detailed deep dive into that. What I wanted to show next is the new feature that we added in Sage 300 for the bank feeds. So the bank feeds feature, it doesn't replace the current OFX. So now at this time, you can bring in statements from your bank using the OFX statement screen, and it will import in a formatted file from your bank into Sage 300 to automatically reconcile your statements. What we've added with the bank feeds is the ability to automatically cut a couple of steps out. So we link directly with your bank. So when you go into your Sage 300, I'm going to look at the screen that we modify. So we add this new feature called, or this new option here on your screen under bank services, bank transactions, called Reconcile e-Statements. Because now we have the ability, we still have the OFX statements, but now you can reconcile both here in this screen. So when you put your bank code in here, and then you click on Connect Bank Feed, it will connect directly with your bank. So the first time you set this up, it will it'll require you to set up an authorization. So you'll put in your email address and confirm it, and then click on Getting Started. So again, this is just the initial, when you're first setting this up, that you'll access by clicking on this Connect Bank Feeds. And I have my colleague here that I'm going to have him demonstrate the bank feed so you can see what it looks like in action. So I'm going to switch over to him for just a few minutes to take a look at the bank feed feature. So I'm going to share the desktop here for him, and everybody should be able to hear it. So when you click on the Getting Started, one of the first thing you're going to do is select your bank from Canada. So I am going to play his information here. So he's going to do a demonstration of how this looks with directly bringing the transactions from your bank into Sage 300.
You would have probably saw the initial screen to allow me to put in an email address to set up the integration initially, because when there's changes in authentication and whatnot, the service will send that email information to get reauthenticated. But for the most part, just the initial onboarding. The idea is that once you connect through that screen, you will get to a page that lists the different countries that we support the integration. And as Shane mentioned, there are hundreds in Canada and 10,000 in the US. So because this is in production and don't necessarily want to show you my bank account, I will show that you can connect to, do a search and connect to something called Sage Demo Bank. And this is allow anyone to test against a non-real account, obviously. So if I click on that and hit next, normally you would do your normal online banking, so you connect with your online credentials and log into your real bank. But because I'm using Sage Demo Bank, we can skip through most of that with a few buttons. So hit connect, and this is my demo bank. And during the onboarding, it basically gives me the option to select how far back I want to initially retrieve. So, but at the same time, just be aware that regardless of the date I pick, it may also depend on how much the banking institution offers. So I may pick 6 months, but the banking institution may only give me the last 3 months. But if they do have all 6 months, then of course that's the load of information that'll come down to Sage 300. So whatever date you pick, you would then hit process and finish. As simple as that, the authentication has been connected with your real banking institution. And the idea is that when you click on this Get Transaction button, it will give me a message about, okay, because my currency is different, that's fine. And it basically goes and retrieve all the transactions from that institution. Both obviously withdrawals and deposits, and there is logic behind the scene that attempts to check the in-state amount, and if it matches with here's the download, says it downloaded 201 records, and if it matches based on date and amount, and I think a few other conditions, then it will allow for an auto matching. So that's where it will save you time. But in the event that the amounts are different, or if it's a bank fee, then you have the option to select that particular row, or just pick anyone, for example. And then I can click on the bank entry. Whoops, I'm gonna set my date. Let me just throw anything there for now. But the idea is that I can create a entry. I wasn't sure for this, but create an entry to offset a transaction that the bank had, a fee, for example, that they charge you. That's not in your system yet. So the end result of all this is that when you have hundreds and hundreds of transactions, it will help that get the process to auto match and also allow you to manual match the transactions, and that takes you, into a lot faster reconciliation when you close out of this screen and complete your reconciliation flow. Just a quick caveat is that for the desktop of Sage 300, you do notice that there are 3 buttons. One is to connect, one is to disconnect, and one is to get transactions. As part of 2020.2, the only part of that integration that is supported is the get transactions. So for 2020.2, the onboarding needs to occur within the desktop flow. But once it's been connected for the first time on that bank, you can do the get transactions from both the desktop or the web screen. As part of 2021 that we're working on, we would add that onboarding to the web screen as well, but it's just not there for the 2020.2 release. That's pretty much all I have, Shane. Happy to answer questions.
Great. Thank you, Jason. I think, we'll keep going and we'll look up.
Okay. So that is the bank transactions demo I wanted to show. And again, one of the things I wanted to point out with the bank feeds in Sage 300 is you have this checkbox here for automatically clear reconciled transactions. So if you have that on there.
Leanne, we're not seeing your screen.
Oh, let me do a share real quick. Okay. So you should be seeing a reconcile e-statement. So this was that same screen that Jason was showing you before, and he was saying that this get transactions down below here, this is all you'll need to click in order to bring those transactions into Sage 300. But we also have this checkbox here to automatically clear transactions. So what that means is that when you go into your reconcile statements here, and I'm going to just put in a bank code here and go to reconciliation and see this column here. So what it will do is it'll automatically check this column here when the transactions have matched up. So it will actually reconcile this and check this cleared checkbox here within this column. So again, that's one of the nice things about it. It will do all of your bank reconciliation for you. It's one step. You just click on Get Transactions, and then it matches those transactions with your transactions in your Sage 300. So that's the new feature in the 2020 product update 2 for the bank feeds. What I wanted to go over next is the new feature we added to integrate GL with tax services. So this is a much requested new feature that we added to Sage 300 because a lot of people were entering in their general journal entries for things like sales and recording purchases. But on the other hand, it wasn't integrating with the tax services for printing on the tax services report or updating your taxes side of it. So with this new feature, now you can go into your Sage 300, and I'm going to go into my general ledger using my visual process flow here. So in general journal entry, I'm going to enter a transaction here for a sale and show you what the new columns that we've added. So if I go to new for my batch number, and I'm just going to use JE for my source journal entry. Down below here, we've added these fields that allow you to drop down and select the entry type. So you can choose this as a sales tax or a purchase tax. So if it's a sales tax entry, you can access the tax group, such as, in this case, I've got a tax group for British Columbia taxes. And when I click on Create Tax Details, it automatically recognizes the line items for that tax group. So now it knows that I've got a PSD and as well as a GST tax. And so I can put in my taxes right here that I'd like to record for this particular set of accounts, tax accounts. And again, when I post this, it will bring this information, record this information over to your tax services. So then it will show up if I go to Common Services under Tax Services. I have a tax tracking report here. So that will show up on my tax tracking report. So any kind of journal entries from the GL side will also show up on my tax tracking report, and that's one of the benefits of having that integration there between the general ledger module and the tax tracking. Again, that's this is just a sample of what the tax tracking report looks like. So if you notice under source code, a lot of these are being posted from other modules, but if it was being posted from the GL side, you would see it would say GL as the source code. So again, it allows you to not just post taxes from accounts receivable or accounts payable, but you can actually post your taxes and show that information on the tax tracking report from the general ledger module. The other new feature that we added that's very exciting is the multiple contacts module within Sage 300. So what this does is allow me to enter contacts in a central location that can be accessed by different modules such as accounts receivable or accounts payable. So let's take a look at this. Go back to my Sage 300 company here, and under Common Services, under multiple contacts, there's a folder here where you can click on contacts. So we've added a whole new I want to call it a module under Common Services. If you look under, again, under Common Services, we added this multiple current contacts. It's right underneath currency, so we just kind of squeezed it in there. And what this does is allows you to enter a contact and save it here in the central location. So I've got different contact codes such as Kathy Keene, Susan May, Jennifer Mills. I can put their email address. So if I've got an email for Jennifer, I can put jmills@, let's say, canapolytech.com, and then save that. And that new contact that I've added here can be accessed from either accounts payable, or let's say I want to add it to my vendor side. So if I go to my AP vendors here, on my vendor records, I'm going to pull up a vendor here called Dunkin' Donuts. If I go to my contact tab here, you'll notice that that email address that I added in the contact is here under Jennifer Mills. Now you can also see things like purchase orders, accounts payable. I can toggle between documents for that contact. So this is great if you want to see what purchases that particular contact recorded. You can go in and just look at the purchase orders, and then you can add and create a new contact on the fly from either AP vendors or AR customers. So let's say I want to add a new contact called, I'll just call this Miss J, and then you can put Smith for the last name, John, and then put his email address, say smith@com, and then click on add, and it will save it, and then you can automatically see that here. So again, you can have multiple contacts either on the vendor side or the customer side. This is a brand new feature. In the previous version, this is what we've added in the 2020 version. With previous versions of Sage 300, you only had the ability to put in and record one contact per company for either the accounts receivable or the accounts payable. Now you can have pretty much an unlimited number of contacts. If I wanted to put 20 contacts, I could do that for a customer. One of the things that's nice is these multiple contacts will synchronize with CRM as well. So if I have 3 contacts here, those 3 contacts can be brought into the Sage CRM module. So on the customer side, you can see things like AR statements and orders. So if there were quotes that were entered for particular contacts, you can see the quotes right there. So that's the multiple contacts feature within Sage 300, where the global search and the notes is available for both the Sage 300 Cloud as Windows, as well as the classic entry window. And we saw it a little bit on the web screen side of it, but I wanted to show it to you on the classic entry window. So if we go back to our Sage 300, up at the top on the right-hand side, there is this global search icon here. So if I click on that, it pulls up the global search window, and that allows me to search for different, and I'm going to close first. I'm going to close my other windows out first. Let me close AR customers and then click on global search. So it allows you to search across different modules, and for transactions, I can make it very specific, so I can search just for accounts receivable invoices or just for accounts payable payments, for example. If I want to search across all of my modules, so let's say I want to search across order entry, purchase order as well, you can just click one button, and again, it searches across all the modules, and I can put things like CHLO, just like I did on the web screens, and every company, every item that has that word, partial word CHLO, comes up. And you can also, if you pull up an item number, you can click on the item here, and it actually pulls up IC items for that item. So this is choline chloride, for example. And then if you click on the batch number here, I can pull up the batch number for, say, general journal entry or an AP batch if I wanted to. So there is some quick access here so that you can drill down into the information you're looking for. So if you want to see quickly all the orders that were placed for a particular customer, you can do that. So this global search, again, is all the searching for this particular company code that I'm logged into. But you can log into a different company and do a global search on that company as well. So that's the global search feature. We added that in the 2019 version. Another thing that we added in the 2019 version is the ability to go in and see notes. So the notes feature here can be accessed from within for customers, vendors, or item numbers. So what's nice is I can go in here and enter a note for a customer and have it pop up during order entry, or I can have a note on an inventory item, and I can have the inventory item number. When I put that on an order, I can have the note, and the note can be quite lengthy. It can be a text, it can be a link to something. So if there's a link to an image, and then if I click on create new here, I can put my note here, and I can remind the salesperson that there's a promotion for this item, and the promotion, and down below here you can see this active. So you can say it's only active on this date, and I can say for the month of June. So I can say only for the month of June, I'm going to make this active, or July, I can say, and July. And then this particular note only pops up in order entry for this particular item, 20017, for this date range. And you can make it so that it can't be just simply dismissed, that they actually have to take a look at this note when it comes up. So the notes feature and the ability to activate it for a particular date range is available for the inventory customers as well as vendors. So there's always information that you might want to relate to somebody who's entering let's say a particular customer in there. It might want to mention that that customer has maybe invoices outstanding, or maybe there's a special contract we're looking for that needs to be signed for that customer. So whenever somebody accesses this customer, then this note can actually pop up and then remind that person of this information. So again, this notes feature is available in both the classic window as well as the web screen. So so that's the global search and notes. I wanted to just lastly wrap up, since we're getting close here, to and talk about Sage Intelligence. And just before that, I just want to mention that we do allow you to print P5018 forms on blank paper, which is something I wanted to mention. But I wanted to talk about Sage Intelligence reporting, since everyone that is a Sage 300 user, whether you're 300 Cloud or 300, you get one free license of the Sage Intelligence Report Manager module, and it's an Excel-based reporting tool that basically replaces your FR, because it gives you a template of financial reports as well as sales and accounts payable reports that you can go into and run, and they're pre-formatted, so it'll bring in your data into a report, for example, a dashboard. So you can track your actual budget variance analysis, and one of the things that's nice is it goes in hand in hand with the budgeting and planning module that you get free with Sage 300 Cloud that Paul mentioned earlier. And you can create your budgets in the Sage budgeting and planning instead of having to use Excel spreadsheets, and then have those budgets and come into a column here and see actual budget variance by period, by year-to-date information on your Sage Intelligence report. So again, Sage Intelligence it's an Excel-based tool, but it's not just an export to Excel, it's an output. And you have over 50 report templates that you can use across modules, from general ledger to order entry and accounts receivable. You can even track purchase order information. So whereas FR was limited just to the general ledger module, the Sage Intelligence allows you to create reports across things like order entry or accounts receivable. So things like your top customers or your top expenses, or you can see the top items that are being sold. It gives you a really nice sales and analysis information. So that's the Sage Intelligence. I just wanted to mention that, and I'm going to turn things back over to Paul. So Paul, if you wanted to kind of wrap up and see if there's any questions. Keep in mind this is being recorded, but we'll turn off the recording if anybody wants to ask some questions lastly.
I just have one from the chat in terms of multiple contacts. Is that available only in certain versions of the software? The question was asked by somebody who recently upgraded to 2020, but they don't see it. Is that a product update issue, do you think, or?
Yes, so the multiple contact module, it does need to you do have to be in the 2020 version, but you will be able to access it with, I think we just added it in the first update. It's not, you don't have to be a product update 2 in order to access it. If you're not seeing it, it was actually a product update 1 that we added it in there. If you're not able to see that, you just need to go in there and activate it and make sure that it got installed during the upgrade, and which it typically should. You'll just need to go into your data activation and see if, make sure it's there, and just activate it for the version level that you're at.
So thank you very much, Leanne, for that. Just before we wrap up, I just wanted to mention a couple of things. Like, you know, there are some companies where you use all the features of Sage 300, and it's still not enough. You need to think about what's next, and you just, you know, you're constrained by the fact that while it's excellent software, there are some limitations. So really the path up for most of our clients when this happens is Sage X3, and that's why we're now promoting that product and working with it. Really a couple of issues that come to mind that make you want to move. If you have a lot of companies, Leanne showed you that you can have different tabs and access to different companies that way. But with X3, you log in once and you log into all the companies. So if that becomes really painful for you, we're working with a client now with 85 companies. They're looking at moving to X3 for exactly that reason. If you really need to get into advanced charts of accounts and don't want to have hundreds or thousands of accounts in your general ledger, X3 allows you to use dimensions as opposed to the accounts and departments and this sort of thing. The other reasons that we see clients looking at this is if you have a very, very strong need for manufacturing. So discrete and process manufacturing is really what X3 was written for, and it's where it's strong. And the last couple of reasons really is if you want workflow everywhere. So we know we can add workflow to Sage 300. There's some really good workflow products. But if you need to look at workflow just inherent in the product everywhere, that's where the product is strong. And the last thing kind of related to that is supply chain. We deal a lot with the mining companies. With purchase orders with Sage 300, they're good, but you have an option, and you can either accept it or deny a purchase order when the receipt is different than the amount. With X3 and products like that, you end up with these things called tolerances and saying, look, if I'm buying fuel oil, it's never going to be the price on the PO, so I can put a tolerance in there. So don't be dismayed if you find you're absolutely pushing the limits of Sage 300 and you just need to look elsewhere. you don't need to look beyond Sage. We were very happy to talk to you about that. There are other alternatives as you move forward.